Hi beautiful, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to review the latest Australis foundation and concealer, and this is from their Fresh and Flawless line. So we'll start with the foundation. Foundation is Fresh and Flawless Full Coverage Foundation, and this is what it looks like. Packaging is very sleek, it's very straightforward, and it comes in a squeezy tube. The formula of this is a little bit watery, like you could definitely hear the liquid, and the claims are it is a full coverage foundation infused with vitamin C, SPF 15, blurs pores and fine lines, as well as give you a soft airbrushed finish. And I have the shade Golden Nude, and this foundation right here comes with 30 shades and retails for $19.95 Australian. So I purchased mine from Priceline when I was over in Australia a couple of weeks ago, and we'll see how this goes. And for the concealer, this is what it looks like. Comes in 10 shades, and this retails for $13.95. The applicator is just the standard doe foot applicator. It comes in this acrylic tube, and mine is in the shade Natural. Now this claims to be a multi-purpose concealer, meaning you could conceal, contour, brighten, or even correct. Now I've already primed my face. I did not purchase a primer from Australis because I don't think that their primers work great on my skin. Now for the foundation, it also says that you could either use your finger, your brush, or your sponge to apply this foundation. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of all three different applications. This is what the foundation looks like. So it's very liquidy. I personally have not tried any sort of like water-based formula. So I'm going to start off with my fingers, and oh, this dries a little bit too quickly. It feels very lightweight. It doesn't feel sticky. I find that it dried rather too quickly once I applied this. So I think this type of formula I will probably skip using a sponge because it might soak up majority of the product and I'm left with like a very light coverage. But using my fingers, it's actually very easy to blend. It doesn't have like a tug on the skin. It spreads the product pretty good because the warmth of my fingers help, but it does dry a little bit too quickly, so you have to work very quick with this product. But for an everyday on-the-go makeup look, I could see a lot of women or even like students using this because one, it's very affordable, and two, it's very easy to apply. I've used the full pump that I put on my skin, and I'm actually very happy with the coverage that it gave. The finish is natural finish. In terms of like blurring, I don't see any blurring effect. Like I could still see a little bit of like my pitted scars and like some pores that are lingering around this side, but from afar my face definitely looks very even and somewhat airbrush, which is pretty much close to the claim. So on this side, I am going to try and use a brush. Now I have a little bit more red flares on this side of my face, so we'll see how that will cover. It did pretty well covering the red spots that I have on my skin. I feel like I actually much prefer using my finger over the brush, because if you compare this side to this side, I mean the brush did a pretty good job in like concentrating the coverage on the areas that I needed it, but when I look from the front This side has more like of a natural finish. This side looks somewhat natural, but it has like a bit of texture. So I think I will have to use my fingers for this foundation because I really like the finish that it gave, and also like it's very, very easy. And this is probably the only foundation that I actually prefer applying with my fingers. So this is what my skin looks like with a, I would say 2 full pumps of foundation on both sides. Now it gave me like a very full medium coverage. I will try to do another pump and see if it could go up to like a full coverage, because I do have a lot to cover at this stage. See how it layers up. That I don't actually really need to set it, and I love the fact that you could still build on top of the foundation once it's dried, because oftentimes foundations like this, especially with like a watery consistency, once it's dried down you can't really build on top of it because it might look cakey or very patchy, whereas this foundation right here is really, really good. So now we are going to move on to the concealer. I might have to use a sponge for this, but we'll see. So the formula of the concealer, on the other hand, is very creamy, and it has like a kind of thickness to it. The closest formula that I could compare it to is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. So I will do one eye at a time to see the difference, because at the moment I have a really bad dark circles. So I'm going to try and pat that with my fingers. It's very, very easy to blend. It feels creamy, and I love the fact that it doesn't dry quickly, so you have a lot of work time, because I would hate to have a concealer that dries too quickly and then you're left with like a patch or like a very dehydrated under eye. What the concealer looks like, I find that it gave me a good coverage. It blended pretty good, but I feel like I have to layer a little bit more, especially on this part right here and this part right here, because those are the darkest, and I will try to use a sponge. But yeah, overall I like the shade that I actually purchased, and it goes well with the foundation. It's not overly brightening, and it covered a good amount of my dark circles. So I'm going to try a sponge on this side. The sponge definitely took a little bit of the coverage. So I think I would suggest for you to blend the concealer first with your finger and then go over it with a sponge. That way you already deposited majority of the product on your eyes, and then just smooth it out with a sponge rather than using a sponge first hand, because you will not get the full coverage effect that it claims. So this is what my face looks like with both of the base products on. I'm going to only set the parts where I get really oily. So first impression on the concealer, it did not settle in my fine lines. However, this is the type of concealer where you actually have to set it straight away, otherwise it will crease. Here is what my face looks like after I set it. I did not set majority of it. I only set the T-zone area, because the rest I have a little bit of dry patches, so I don't really want to enhance the texture. And the time right now is 12:33. I will do the rest of my makeup because I'm thinking of filming another makeup video, so I will check back with you once I have my full face of makeup and we will wear the foundation throughout. Hi beautiful, welcome back to my channel. So the time right now is 1:17 p.m. and It has been 40 to 45 minutes since the last time I checked in with you guys about this foundation. So I have just finished filming another video and this is my entire look. Everything is set in place. I've got bronzer and blush and highlight on top. I did notice though that before I filmed my other video with this makeup look, when I looked closer into the mirror, it dried into a matte finish. I've noticed that I had like a few patches clinging onto my skin, and this pore area right here wasn't blended properly. I think it has something to do with like the foundation drying rather too quickly, and also like my pores are kind of enhanced in this area right here. I'm not actually sure why. My chin area looks a little bit dehydrated. It looks very like textured. I had to spray a Max Fix Plus all over my face before I had to start the video because my face is just looking a little bit too like caked up. I had to spritz a beauty sponge and kind of dab it and blend it away. Luckily, I was able to fix it. So that's the only downside of this foundation. Concealer is amazing. It doesn't feel like very cakey underneath my eyes. It doesn't feel very heavy. It didn't settle into my fine lines, which is great. So I will go about my day and I will let you know how the foundation wears throughout the day. The time right now is 6:31 p.m. and I've worn this foundation for exactly 6 hours, and I have to say that I unfortunately don't like this foundation. One, because after I applied the foundation, it dried extremely matte on my skin, which if I didn't have any dermatitis or eczema, I would really love it. Unfortunately, I have a few dry skin patches along my jawline and my forehead, and it definitely accentuates that. Two, the color match is way off. Apparently it's like 2.5 shades lighter than my skin tone. Instead of it being more of a golden tone, it was leaning towards more on like a pinky beige tone, which is a no-no for me, especially that I have more of like a yellow golden undertone. Even though it says golden nude, it still has a pink beigey undertone. Maybe if I got the darker shade, I could probably work better with it, but yes, coverage wise though, it's a good foundation for everyday wear. For 6 hours though, I don't feel it very heavy. It still feels very lightweight. I could see that around this area right here, it is starting to cake up, and also on my chin area, and like my dry patch here is heavily accentuated. So I'm not going to wear this for 8 hours. Unfortunately, I have to take it off. But yeah, unfortunately, this is a no-go for me. I will have to find ways for this foundation to work. The concealer, on the other hand, I actually love this concealer. It didn't do any funny business at all. Like my under eye did not crease. It still has the coverage. So I will definitely go for the concealer versus the foundation if you have more of like a dry slash combination skin. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more updates, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.